from the Directorate of Immigration Services, revealing a shocking trend administration to dish out Kenyan passport to foreign individuals for what can only be perceived as private and personal purposes. From a high-profile Zimbabwean entrepreneur to high-ranking figures from the Sudan Rebel Rapid Support Forces, the list of questionable issuing of Kenyan passports is growing long. Political activist and presidential aspirant Boniface Mwangi blew the whistle today, posting on social media the alleged leaked document packed with a list of foreigners who are now Kenyan passport holders. Shows a surge in passport applications for individuals whose ties to Kenya are at best a mystery and at worst a national security threat. Among the names processed in recent months are those belonging to the inner circles of foreign political factions currently embroiled in conflict in Sudan. Among those are Omar Bashir Mohamed Manis, a name identical to former high-ranking officials in the Sudanese government. Multiple entries for individuals sharing the surname of powerful Rapid Support Forces paramilitary leader in Sudan, Hamdan Dagalo, also better known as Hemedti, including Mayada Hamdan, Abdarrahman Hamdan, Zahra Hamdan, Zariwa Hamdan, and Musa Hamadan Musa. A separate document from the United States also shows that Agoni Hamdan Dagalo, a designated individual for his links to the Rapid Support Forces, holds a Kenyan passport. Boniface Mwangi, who blew the whistle on this passport scandal, says this is a stain on Kenya's identity.
Our passports have been sold to warlords. Hemedti and RSF have been accused of crimes against humanity, murder and rape, and they're wanted, but they are traveling with a Kenyan document. So what actually happens as a Kenyan, when you travel with a Kenyan passport, and become suspicious because you don't know who is a legit Kenyan and a non-Kenyan who bought a passport.
Also included on that list is controversial flamboyant Zimbabwean businessman and named at the center of massive graft probe in Zimbabwe. He is also a frequent visitor to Kenya, often seen posing for photos with the head of state. The issuance of Kenyan passports to people with suspect background goes beyond corruption, according to Mwangi.
So the Kenyan document is very sacrosanct. It's like our identity. Now our government is selling our identity to foreigners for maybe the price of beans, or I don't know what's the reason why they're selling the passports to foreigners.
According to Mwangi, these individuals were issued passports unprocedurally. To get a passport in Kenya, one must prove that they are citizens by birth by producing a national identity card and a birth certificate. For foreigners, one must have resided in Kenya for at least 7 years and must be proficient in Kiswahili or English. They also must have made contribution to the country's economy or society, and their application must be gazetted. Some of the persons on this list appear to have bypassed the 7-year requirement. Mwangi now wants those passports revoked and those responsible for this breach be held accountable.
And number 3, the people who are involved in issuing the fake passports should be first fired, then investigated and taken to court. So heads must roll, but rolling is not being fired enough. People must go to jail for selling Kenyan sovereignty.
Former Chief Justice, in a post on his official X handle, also condemns the issuance of the passports to the Sudan leader, calling for the immediate revocation of the same. He states that Kenyan citizenship should not be extended at the convenience of power, as it amounts to a state's declaration that the bearer is one of us. The Ministry of Interior on this matter did not yield results as our inquiries went unanswered. Brenda Wanga, Citizen TV. Festus Arasa Omwamba, the key suspect in the alleged Russia human trafficking ring, has pleaded not guilty to charges of trafficking in prisons before the Kahawa law courts. The 33-year-old was arrested by officers from Moyale police station while allegedly attempting to flee the country through the Moyale border into a neighboring country. Investigators believe he was part of a network suspected of facilitating illegal travel and exploitation of victims under the guise of job opportunities. Prosecutors told the court that Omwamba has been under investigation for alleged involvement in human trafficking, an offense contrary to the Prevention of Trafficking in Persons Act. His lawyer, Bonaventure Otieno, has opposed the charges, maintaining that his client is innocent and challenging the basis of the prosecution prosecution's case. The matter is set to proceed as the court considers bail terms and further direction. And we want to stay on that story tonight. Hundreds of Kenyans have been lured to the ongoing Ukraine-Russian war, leaving families in distress following reports of deaths in the battlefields. Since Citizen TV first exposed the story, many families come out to look for answers. But months later, the government is yet to tell Kenyans what really transpired, apart from one suspect who was arrested and taken to court. Tonight, we expose the inside networks, how government officials from the Department of Defense, Immigration, DCI, and the Ministry of Labor have been aiding the export of Kenyans to the Russian war. Here is Citizen TV's investigative reporter, Ode Francis, on tonight's special feature, The Russian Syndicate.
On October 11th, 2025, an investigation by Citizen TV exposed a syndicate many Kenyans would hardly believe.
Nilitoka na tourist visa. Nikiambiwa nikifika huko natafutiwa kazi.
Young men were being recruited and flown to Russia, not for jobs, not for studies, but to fight as soldiers in the ongoing war against Ukraine. What began as a shocking revelation has since unfolded into a trail of anguish. For months, we have continued to document the pain, the unanswered questions, and the growing fear that more Kenyans would be trapped in a war far from home. The government has remained largely silent, issuing brief, careful worded statement offering little clarity about the network behind the recruitment. For weeks, we have been tracing one man believed to be at the center of this operation, the man who insiders say secured to send Kenyans to fight for the Russian army. For his own safety, we will refer to him as Reds. In exclusive conversations, Reds made explosive claims. He alleges that various individuals within government structures are aware of and possibly involved in the export of Kenyan fighters to Russia. It all began with a phone call in December 2024. On the other end of the line, a Russian national who introduced himself as Mike, a man we have now established to be Mikhail Lyapin. Investigation show Lyapin was operating in Kenya and was in a company of another Russian national identified as Dmitry, a man said to have links with the Kenyan embassy. Their pitch was direct: recruit young Kenyan men, facilitate their travel to Russia, and deploy them into the Russian army. A deal dressed as opportunity, but one that Red says he immediately knew was dangerous. Still, he took it up.
Well, on the issue of Russian recruitment, I have one friend by name Mike.
According to our findings, Reds began reaching out to contacts within Kenya security establishment. His search led him to a senior officer at the DOD headquarters.
The opportunity was they needed to recruit trained ex-military personnel who can join the Russian army. The specification was strictly someone had to be from the forces or from the police, or either having basic paramilitary training like the NYS. At that time, when you approached me, I had a contract of recruiting security guards to Qatar and Dubai, which I had quite deployed a good number.
In April 2025, Reds convened a meeting at a popular entertainment joint along Mombasa Road, where they presented details of the Russian deal, an arrangement the army brigadier promptly accepted.
When he asked me about that, I told him the best thing I could do is to find some friends from the defense forces and ask them how that can be done. So I approached a few friends in the Department of Defense, and they told me it was something possible. They could give it a trial. One of the friends that I actually went to ask, the first guy, he told me that's a deal. Yeah, ni biashara hiyo leta. So I linked them with the guy, the Russian guy.
Then Reds relayed positive feedback to Russian Mike, informing him that the army brigadier had agreed to join the deal. The next individual they contacted was another high-ranking officer at the DCI headquarters. The DCI officer also quickly accepted the deal. At this point, the Russian deal had secured the endorsement of high-ranking officers at the DOD and at DCI headquarters. Reds returned feedback to Mike saying that both had accepted the deal. The next connection to cover up the syndicate was top Ministry of Labour officials who were the link to the travel and labour export agencies, and the Association of Skilled Migrants Agencies of Kenya, ASMAC chairman Francis Wahome was looped in and endorsed the deal. The Immigration Department was the next government agency to be drawn into the syndicate. Those were the first to reach an agreement with the Russian operative Mikhail. Their role in the deal was straightforward: to turn a blind recruitment activities while facilitating the transportation of Kenyans to the Russian army. Citizen TV has established that bribe package for the syndicate was structured per individual transported to Russia. Labor officials received 5,000 shillings per person. DCI officers at the airport received 20,000 shillings per person, and immigration officers received a staggering 50,000 shillings per person. This is the message that those who wanted to travel to Russia received upon inquiry. It read age between 21 to 47 years with no diseases, physically fit and willing to work in the army, understanding the risk of the job of a soldier in the army in the Ministry of Defense of Russia on a contract basis on a period of 1 year. Conditions of the offer were a one-time bonus of 1.6 million shillings, agency services fee of 650,000 shillings, which included airplane tickets, visa, transport, accommodation, food and full support till successful employment. The job had a monthly salary of 280,000 scalable.
So all the documentation, the visas, the air tickets, the invitation letters and everything were fully arranged by Mike. Yeah. So what was basically happening from our side, various agents and various people, was just a referral. You make a referral to this guy. This guy does all the other processes until someone travels.
We sampled over 10 text WhatsApp messages of this nature, and all recipients of these messages acknowledged the risk and replied by being ready and willing to join the Russian army. We proceeded to determine whether the individuals were coerced. The videos shared with the recruiter followed a standardized format in which participants acknowledged the risks involved in joining the Russian army. We collected more than 15 videos, all recorded by Kenyans who voluntarily chose to travel.
I want to get a job in the Russian army.
I want to get this job in Russian army.
I understand the risks of working in the army.
That's why I've been passionate to serve the military all my life.
I am an ex-KDF police.
I understand all the risks associated with working in the army.
I am asking your company to assist me to go through enrollment procedure to join the army of the Ministry of the Defense of the Federation.
Assist me on how to join the Russian army in the ongoing recruitment.
Because they have strong army, I am asking your company to assist me to go through the enrollment procedure.
I want to get a job in the Russian army, and I understand all the risks associated with in the army.
A significant number of inexperienced Kenyans were sent to serve on the Russian front line.
However, I'm aware that quite a number of guys traveled who had no experience. And these guys, most of them faked that they were trained and they were ex-military guys. And to that effect, this guy, the Russian, was recording a lot of videos, video interviews related to experience. And you can see clearly from the videos, the guys are confirming to him that they are well trained, or rather they are ready for the task. Yes, so that's how they ended up training.
Our investigation revealed that after the visa processing, which took 7 days, the recruits were housed in accommodations at various locations, including Great Wall Gardens in Mavoko, Kiserian, Roysambu and Nyayo estates. While there, they were shown combat videos to prepare them for what to expect in Russian training, alongside lessons in Russian language.
During the accommodation period, these guys were being taken through a thorough training of what to expect, basic learning of Russian language, and they were actually being shown in the training videos of what they expect to meet once they arrive in Russia.
Citizen TV obtained over 100 e-visa issued up to 10th October 2025 from the Consular Department of the Russian Federation's Ministry of Foreign Affairs. These documents could not have been issued without the involvement of the Kenyan government. We investigated further for any agreements between Kenya and Russia on labor export and discovered a document file number 1971 at the Ministry of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs, issued by the Embassy of the Russian Federation. The document confirmed that Kenyan citizens were eligible for electronic visa to enter Russia, indicating that the Kenyan Ministry of Foreign Affairs was aware of the travel. This plan had been in motion since December 2024. Another critical document in our this document from Russian government, identified as Center for Development of Economic, Culture, Social Ties, Trade and Business Relations with African countries, signed by its president, a strategic department that would be used to transport Africans to Russia. To substantiate this, we obtained a document issued to a former Special Forces officer in Kenya who was granted a visit visa that would lead him. The visa was scheduled for 20th April 2025 to 4th May 2025, intended as a 14-day visa. However, Reagan never returned to Kenya. Instead, he was absorbed into the Russian army, sustained injuries and remained in Russia. He reportedly received compensation for his injury.
I knew very well that war is dangerous, and the defense guys that approached me, and I referred them to these Russian who were fully aware. I even asked them, what happens if you guys die? They were saying that's our job. We either kill or get killed. That was their response.
Our investigations further revealed a disturbing pattern that the government of Kenya and the Russian embassy were fully aware of the export of Kenyans to Russia. This document from the head of consular shared names of 23 individuals whom we have confirmed to be part of the recruits who went to serve in the Russian army. Statements from individuals rescued by police before being trafficked in October detailed what transpired and with those involved in the syndicate. From the statements, the scam typically begins with a trusted contact, a friend, relative, or former colleague dangling tales of opportunity. The dossier exposes a loosely organized syndicate operating with a network of middlemen, each playing a distinct role in a wider scheme. An agency, Talent Shepherd, located opposite, was responsible for luring recruits with promises of security jobs. 4 other men and women are named as being in charge of issues including medical procedures that were handled at Inspocare Hospital in Nairobi, transport logistics and international operations to recruit from countries such as Turkey. Edward Gituku, who was later arrested in raids, controlled apartments, confiscated passports and coordinated flights. We have also established and obtained a Russian military contract. It specifies the parties involved, the Russian Federation, represented by the head of specific military units, in this case, Captain A. Arsiat, among the obligation being ensuring the provision of military service to military personnel in accordance with the Article 11 of the Federal Law number 76 FZ. For the duration of military service or payment of monetary compensation from the federal budget, the term of military service or personnel at 5 years or more, excluding the time of training.
The contract highlights everything. The terms of service. In case of injury, for instance, we have guys who already got injuries. I know quite a number of them, and they have been compensated. Yeah, we have guys who had some serious injuries, who are hospitalized in various parts of Russia, and they have also been paid. We also have a scenario whereby combat operations, the contract is that they get compensated. I don't have the exact figure, but I'm told it's around 13 million Kenyan shillings.
We wanted to know who are rivers of Kenyan recruits in Russia. Our investigations landed on this document dated 23rd September 2025 that a flight landed in Moscow. On board, 2 men from Africa foreign citizens scheduled to report for military service in Russia. Their names, Obori Denis Bagaka and Magero Jeremiah Orio. Both were expected to arrive at the military service selection point in Yuroslav Unit 2. The letter is clear. It lists their identities, their passports, their flight details, even names the officers responsible for receiving them: Zakipov Zumagat Abdimalikovich and Lieutenant Loskutov Alexander Sergeyevich. This is the address where the recruits were supposed to report. The military service selection point category 2, headed by Major A. Kuznetov. But according to multiple sources, the whereabouts of Omburi and Magero are scanty. 2 men, 2 passports, 1 flight, a paper trail that ends abruptly. Were Omburi Denis Bagaka and Magero Jeremiah Orio lost in bureaucracy, intercepted by another agency, or victims of something darker? This narrative exposes a common lure: salaries far exceeding Kenyan norms, targeting the unemployed or unpaid, often with military backgrounds for security roles that mask combat duties. Once hooked, victims pay processing fee ranging from 15,000 to 70,000 for medicals, visa, and accommodation. Passports are collected, sometimes expedited via insiders at Nyayo House for extra bribes. Recruits are then handed to holding sites, primarily Great Wall Gardens Estate in Athi River, Mavoko.
The reason as why we have all these problems in the country, in the media and everywhere, is because people who have nothing, no information about the military, are rushing and joining into military. It's a very risky affair.
Statements describe overcrowded apartments, 7 to 14 people in 2 or 3 bedroomed units with basic food provided by caretakers. Here, they await flights, signing vague contracts deducting commissions from future earnings. Edward, a central figure, holds meetings, collects shoe sizes for uniforms, and assures imminent departure. But the truth emerges in interrogations. Jobs are for Russia's military in Ukraine. Victims learn post-raid that Kenyans in Russia were not doing well and some had been injured. One group, per statement, flew via Turkish Airlines to Moscow on September 17, 2025, only to be detained at the airport, passports seized, and deported back via Turkey after 18 hours, arriving empty-handed on September 20th, 2025. Raids rescued over 22 Kenyans across apartments, with victims instructed to report to DCI headquarters for statements. Edward faced charges of trafficking in person, yet some slipped through. Statements mention groups flying out days before raids, like 113 officers listed in one account. Russian government has so far denied Lyapin being an employee of Russian government bodies and does not work at the Russian embassy in Nairobi.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I have the
National Intelligence Report tabled in Parliament discloses that close to 1,000 estimated to be in Russia did not travel from Kenya.
39 are hospitalized, 30 have been repatriated, 28 are missing in action, 35 deployed in camps or bases, 89 are on the front line, 1 is detained, and 1 has completed the contract.
Red says up to 2,000 Kenyan would have ended up in Russia. On the surface, it looked like an opportunity to escape unemployment, but beneath the veneer lay a machinery of corruption fueled by bribes.
Kenyans are also going to Ukraine. I can give you 6 that I know who joined the Ukrainian army, and the procedure is different from the Russian one, because for Ukraine they don't have e-visa for Kenya, so you have to obtain the visa from the embassy, just a normal visa that you process through the embassy. For Russia, you don't have to go to the embassy, you just go online, a few clicks here and there, you have the visa.
The scandal exposes more than just corruption. It reveals a system where officials entrusted with safeguarding citizens instead exploit them. Each bribe was not just money exchanged. It was a betrayal of trust, a sale of dignity, a perpetuation of inequality. Now, with the Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi set to visit Russia in the coming week, it is expected much more is to come for in the saga that continues to unfold. Ode Francis, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
The rush to Russia, will definitely be looking forward to more updates on that, especially as Ode Francis said there, the Foreign Affairs Cabinet Secretary making a trip to the country, the Republic of Russia. Let's take a break here on the program tonight. Also, a reminder, we've got more news to come, as well as News Gang. There's much to dissect in the weeks happening. Let's take a break here tonight. We'll be right back. It is above board. Sakaja defends cooperation with Ruto as senators demand that legal loopholes in the deal be addressed before full implementation.
I wish I could have soft and glowing skin.
New Geisha Black Soap with activated charcoal to give you soft and
atajibu maombi yako yote. Kivi kingine watu hufanya, wanakuwa wakarimu zaidi na kusaidia wenzao.
About our differences and share our goodness.
Leo tupike pilau. Start by frying our onions, then adding our minced garlic. Once the garlic is fragrant, we'll go in with our Royco pilau masala. We'll let it fry up with the onions so that it blends the flavor. And then we'll add in our very soft boiled meat and potato. Go in with Royco cubes for an extra build of flavor and some salt to taste. And now it's time to add in your rice. Give it a good mix, then we'll add in our beef broth or hot water. Once it comes to a boil, cover and cook on low until all the water is evaporated. Just like that, our pilau is ready. Serve hot with your favorite kachumbari on the side and enjoy.
Your mother's love is with you wherever you go. It starts with little moments of courage to stepping out into the new world with confidence. Stay soft. Nothing lasts like mom's love.
To soothe irritated and dry skin, Vaseline's healing power is able to penetrate beneath the surface of the skin. This is because Vaseline is made with unique blends of waxes and oils that melt into the spaces between skin cells. This promotes natural moisture regulation to deliver effective skin protection against dryness. Use Vaseline because it is the first step to maintaining natural, healthy-looking skin.
New Pepsodent Herbal, introducing a unique combination of natural ingredients with herbal extracts, salt and mint in an antibacterial formula for fresh breath, strong teeth and healthy gums that protects you and your family. Pepsodent Herbal, every smile matters.
February is coming to an end. The excitement fades, and what remains are the decisions that last. A roof is not a gift, it's not a trial, it's commitment to protect your home, your family, your future. This last week of February, Kidani Mabati is making it easier to build right. Enjoy end-month offers, free delivery countrywide, and quality you can trust long after the month ends. Don't postpone what matters. Build once, build right. Tujenge Kenya na Kidani Mabati.
Welcome back. Now, the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce wants all withdrawals and expenditures from the proposed 5 trillion shillings National Infrastructure Fund be subjected to parliamentary approval. Civil society group under the umbrella Okoa Uchumi Platform expressed concern over Treasury's role in the National Infrastructure Fund Management Board, calling for a citizen-driven public participation before the National Infrastructure Fund Bill 2026 becomes law.
With the stakeholder engagements on the National Infrastructure Fund Bill 2026 coming to a close ahead of Friday's public engagement at KICC, the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce poked holes in the bill, which they say is giving too much power to the executive. Chamber of Commerce cited major oversight gaps in the proposed management structure of the 5 trillion shillings fund and called for amendments to the bill.
We are trying to push on the board from arbitrary removal from office by the executive and our proposal is to ensure that the process of removal is tabled before this very house to ensure that there is board independence.
Presenting its memoranda to the National Assembly Finance Committee, the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce called for a citizen-driven public participation exercise in order to gather views of ordinary Kenyans. The bill undergoes its second reading in Parliament.
There is no provision for public participation. We know our constitution is quite express in terms of public consultation.
Civil society organizations under the umbrella Okoa Uchumi want the excess power given to the executive through the Treasury Cabinet Secretary reduced.
Would deter me from actually making sure that the process of selling this particular entity happens, because I am bound to benefit as a board member going forward.
The administrator who controls the bank accounts, the expenditure and the withdrawals is a designee of the CS without board confirmation or parliamentary approval required.
it's possible to have someone with expertise on youth employment, social infrastructure, planning, or labor market development.
The government should try and also be very intentional about the how to engage young people, because young people are willing to engage, only that you have to offer them a very safe space.
The final engagements on the National Infrastructure Fund Bill 2026 will conclude on Friday at KICC. Seth Olale, Citizen TV.
One person was injured and property destroyed after chaos erupted at the Evurore ward by-elections in Embu. The incident occurred at the Njarage Primary School polling center, causing temporary disorder. In Kakamega, arrested on allegations of disrupting the voting exercise in the West Cabras by-election. Laura Tieno now reports on the ward by-elections, which were marred by allegations of voter suppression.
On Thursday morning, thousands of West Cabras residents flooded various polling centers to participate in the by-elections. Scores of voters encountered hitches in the biometric identification process, causing delays in the voting exercise.
Nilikuja hapa saa 12 asubuhi. Nimekaa hapa nikiwa na hamu sana ya kupiga kura. Hatukufika saa hii, laini imekuwa ndefu. Nimekaa kwa laini mpaka hata nimechoka. Mashini yako ndani inafanya kazi polepole.
One person was arrested at the Imbiakalo polling center on allegations of planning to disrupt the elections. Some of the leaders alleging an elaborate plot in what they say were organized attacks.
Other people have not even campaigned. They were just waiting for the last day. Kukuja na gonism, kukuja na bribery, inaendelea all over. But we are saying that whichever way they do, we are confident that we are going to win this seat.
Former Kakamega Senator Cleophas Malala castigating what he said was the exaggerated deployment of police officers and accusing leaders allied to government of misusing state agencies.
There has been voter suppression because police, over 150 police officers were roving around this. Yes, they have used the administration officers. However, I believe and I'm certain that my people have voted their conscience in the ballot.
In Mbeere North constituency, one person was injured in a scuffle that broke out at Njarage Primary School. Kelvin Mwenda, an agent of the DP candidate, claiming to have been attacked by supporters of one of the candidates in the election.
Wameni-attack, wamenichapa. Unaona kichwa huku nimenaumia na kimbisho hospitali saa hii. At least nimepiga ripoti kwa polisi. Na pia nauliza maafisa wetu wa polisi kila mahali, na ikiwezekana waongezeke hapa. Tunataka kutuma hii ujumbe huko juu.
As at now, the turnout is slow, but we hope, because yesterday it rained so much, and some of the areas around Mbeere ward, they are a bit difficult in terms of transport. We hope as the day progresses.
By-elections are being held in Mominji and Evurore wards in Mbeere North Embu County, as well as the West Cabras ward in Kakamega County. Laura Tieno, Citizen TV.
And still on the by-elections, a sibling rivalry played out today in Isiolo South constituency by-election as UDA candidate Tubi Mohamed Tubi went head-to-head with his sister Bina Tubi of the Jubilee Party in a hotly contested race to succeed their father Mohamed Tubi, who passed on last year. As Emmanuel Tona reports, Bina's camp has since accused her brother's camp of election rigging, even as the election witnessed a very low turnout. Emmanuel Toh reports.
He arrived at the Algani polling station wearing a hopeful yet tense smile ahead of the do-or-die contest between him and his sister Bina Tubi, who is also gunning for the same seat on Jubilee Party ticket. And after casting his vote, Tubi, who is Bina's younger brother, explained how they got to the ballot despite high-level negotiations to have one of them step down.
Najua siasa itambui ndugu wa madada, ila kuna mambo mingi kwa siasa, kwa kila mtu ana goal yake. Kama mimi wazee ndio walinichagua wakaniwekea kilemba na kusema, so siwezi ongelea sana upande yake, ila niko focused upande yangu.
Tubi got a shot in the arm after the NEDP candidate Isaac Fayo pulled out of the race in his favor, leaving the race to a family affair. Kuna wale wanasema kwamba mmekelea multibet double chance ya hii kiti, dadako akikosa unapata, yeye akipata wewe unakosa pia, lakini bado inarudi kwa nyumba yenu. Ilikuwa hiyo ndio mlikuwa mmepanga mavipi?
Hapana, wajua kila mtu ana haki ya kusema, kila mtu ana haki ya fikra, ila mimi sijui hayo mambo. Toka baada ya mazishi mimi niliekelewa tu na wazee mambo yote na nilikuwa tu tayari kusonga.
A few kilometers from where her brother voted, Bina also showed up at Kina polling station with the hope of also clinching the same seat. Although she declined a media interview, her loyal supporters were fast to cry foul in the election process.
Is that this election is sham? This election is sham. We are not convinced. Thank you.
And in one incident here in Kina, we were able to identify bribery happening just behind the election room.
Sentiments which were quickly dismissed by the IBC officers manning the election.
We don't have voters bribery within the precincts of polling stations. Polling stations are 400-meter radius area. That's the definition of a polling station.
Mimi sijaona utatanishi wowote. Sijaona cases ya wizi ya kura. Kama unavyojua tumekuwa na wewe hapa, tumezunguka katika kituo yote.
We are fully satisfied about the security arrangements in place.
This comes as a paltry 30% of the voters stand up for the election, raising questions over voter apathy. And after a day of voting, action now shifts to Garbatula High School, where the tallying process will begin, even as the residents of Isiolo South constituency wait with bated breath to know who their next member of parliament will be. Emmanuel Toh, Citizen TV, Garbatula High School, Isiolo South constituency, Isiolo County.
Right, it's time for another break here on the program. Tonight we've got the day's business and sports news, and don't forget later on, News Gang will be here.
Citizen Duka inawatakia Ramadhan Mubarak. Tumia muda mchache sokoni na muda mwingi kwa mambo yenye umuhimu zaidi. Bidhaa muhimu na halisi tena za kuaminika kwa bei nafuu, zikiletwa hadi mlangoni mwako. Fanya oda sasa kupitia Citizen Duka app ama kwenye tovuti ya citizenduka.com au tuma agizo lako kwa WhatsApp kupitia nambari 0710